Yeah, hi, this is Alkan. Welcome back to my channel. Well, as you may know, we have had an election. Alan Bryce got reelected, unfortunately, which is bad enough. But we also had a not very flattering individual elected Democrat for mayor. This Zohar McDummy. And no, I do not want to pronounce his name correctly because I don't care for this individual. I already getting backlash from people on X because they say, "Oh, it's nice to see you go. Bye bye." That's okay because when he screwed up the city of New York, I'm not going to be affected because I'm not there. I might be affected because he might mess with the pensions, but I will not be there. But let me go into the story because something interesting has came up. You had some people wishing that the individual as legal status be revoked and send them back to Uganda. Yeah, that's the basis of this story. It's from the Independent, and I'm not even gonna pronounce the writer's name because I can't pronounce it for crap. It says Republicans are calling on Trump to revoke McDummy's citizenship and deport him. Is it possible? I don't know. So, let's see what happens. It says some Republicans are calling on Donald Trump's administration to revoke Zohar McDummy's citizenship and deport him from the country. The 33-year-old likely Democrat nominee for New York City next mayor declared victory in the primaries at the former New York City or former governor Andrew Cuomo conceded a race on Tuesday evening. And he pulled out, by the way, afterwards. So he won't be in the general election. The New York Young Republican Club reacted to the primary result and called to action on X. Says the radical, Zohar McDummy, they're not calling him that, I am, cannot be allowed to destroy a beloved New York City, the group wrote. The group urged the president to invoke the Red Scare era Communist Control Act to yank McDummy's citizenship and promptly deport him. McCarthy type era. Well, there's a reason why they would put something out like that, and he's the reason. The club called on the White House staff or Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller and Trump board czar Tom Homan to take action. Well, one of the things that Zohar McDummy wanted to do was to defund the police, replace NYPD with social workers, and of course, kick ICE out. Stuff that Trump is not going to allow. Let me put it that way. You need federal funds to help run the city, and Trump is not going to allow that. He forget that, and he says, "Oh, nothing." The time for action is now. The group wrote, "New York City is counting on you." Following McDummy's victory, Miller claimed New York City is the clearest warning yet of what happens to a society when it fails to control migration. The entire Democratic Party is lined up behind this die-hard socialist who wants to end all immigrant enforcement and abolish the prison system entirely, he added. Yeah, imagine 25 years after 9/11, they want to elect this guy mayor of the city of New York. Could you imagine the 9/11 ceremonies after this year? What happens next year if he is the mayor? You think the family's going to invite him over? I doubt it. It'll be interesting to see, but I certainly doubt they wouldn't allow him in. Republican Representative Annie Ogles of Tennessee referred to McDummy as the Little Muhammad. I know he doesn't mean Ali. And he said he's antistic society, socialist communist who will destroy the great city of New York. He needs to be deported, which is why I'm calling on him to be subject of denationalization proceedings, he added. Well, I think that the anti-communist law is saying if you're a known communist, you're not allowed to be in the country. Not sure how it works, so don't quote me on that. And I understand it hasn't rarely been used, even with the Red Scare back of the 50s. So McDummy would become the city's first Muslim and Indian American mayor. One one of the first major Democrat primaries since the start of Trump's second stunt in the White House. His platform largely focused on growing affordable crisis with plans to universal health care, free buses, and a freeze on rent increase and rent control units. You also want government grocery stores, sort of like what the Soviet Union used to have, and you ended up with breadlines. So you had the line to get the food, get online to pay for the food, and then get online to take the food. That's the yeah. I don't think so. The administration baseless claim. I don't think it's baseless. McDummy's victory is a result of uncontrolled immigration and has pushed a mass deportation agenda. The last president that we had, we call him President Vegetable, or otherwise also known as Joe Biden, has allowed at least 20 million illegals into the country, and it's caused a lot of problems. And we had gangs like MS-13, which is bad enough, already in the country before then, and then another gang called Tren de Agua, a vicious gang from the prisons of Venezuela. They are in control of the country at one time. You may recall the video of them taking over a building complex in Aurora, Colorado, and they tried to deny it. I don't think this is something you just made up. This is some kind of scare because you got evidence of this. And it's kind of hilarious they're trying to downplay this. Anyway, the NYYRC, founded in 1911, is political and social club for New York Republicans between the age of 18 and 40. Nah, I wouldn't join because I'm past 40. So McDummy, I'm going to keep calling him that, born in Uganda in 1991 and moved to New York along with his family at the age of 7 in 1998 and became a naturalized U.S. citizen 2 decades later in 2018. Oh, here it is. The Communist Control Act was signed into law by President Dwight Eisenhower in 1954 during the Cold War. The legislation outlawed the Communist Party in the United States and prohibited communists from attaining certain positions, but it was rarely enforced and faced a litany of challenges, legal challenges, as a relic of the McCarthyism era. Well, you know, Senator or Congressman McCarthy was looking for Reds underneath the beds back in that time, and unfortunately didn't do himself any good favors in the end. But that doesn't mean that what's happening out there right now is not legit. I mean, look at Los Angeles. You have a certified Marxist running Los Angeles, Kevin Bass, who's a well-documented disaster of a mayor. You know, she leaves to go to an event in Africa, and her city nearly gets burned down completely. Now you have the riots, and again, she's ineffective. And they're yelling and screaming, hollering about her. I mean, Mel Gibson, who lost his home in the Palisade fire, is asking Longino's, and I'm not sure if I pronounced it right. I'm not from Los Angeles, I can't pronounce these things. You know, how much more punishment do you need before you get rid of her and, of course, the governor? Which is ridiculous. Anyway, New York City is on the verge of electing a socialist for mayor, says Senator Mike Collins wrote. Might be the time to bring back the committee. Ooh. Yeah, now you got something to worry about, folks. Trump has also slammed McDummy on Truth Social on Wednesday, calling him a communist lunatic. I mean, this guy was a failed Disney star, a failed rapper. He did try to break into showbiz, and which is another reason why people don't want to bring the kids over to watch any Disney product, because a lot of times it's garbage. So the incumbent New York City Mayor Eric Adams is set to run his independent November general election after he faced corruption charges, which the Department of Justice dropped. Adams, who has rejected all allegations of wrongdoing, has faced accusation of Democrats of a quid pro quo with the Trump administration to facilitate, I can't pronounce these words, its immigration agenda. So Zohar McDummy wants to get rid of ICE. He doesn't want deportation from New York. And like I said, he wants to get rid of the NYPD, cut their funding, put social workers in its place. And if you have a crime problem, like what's happening in Los Angeles, guess what? Trump going to have no problem calling the National Guard like he did in California, in Los Angeles. Because the Ninth Circuit Court refused to give Gary Newsom back the National Guard. And, you know, Gary Newsom and Karen Bass are going nuts. They're going cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, yelling and screaming their heads off. And the courts will not give them back the National Guard. And, of course, they got the Marines to go with it. So what does that mean? They try that stunt in New York City. Well, guess what's going to happen? So Zohar McDummy and then Kathy Hochul are going to be doing the same yelling and screaming and cursing as Trump brings the National Guard and whoever else and control any problems in New York City if they let it go out of control like what happened in Los Angeles. He's not playing anymore. He spanked Iran. He spanked NATO. He's spanking his enemies. He's winning. His popularity is getting higher and higher. They tried an impeachment. Al Green's impeachment proceedings went south for the winter. Nobody wanted to touch it. What does that mean? He's in full control. And if he keep it up, he's going to be on the cover of that Janet Jackson album. With that song, In Control? Or Control? And you don't want to see that, right? Okay, so that's the problem. So the group Republicans for Renewal responds to NYYRC's call for action, saying that communist zealous or radical Zohar McDummy should be remigrated as soon as possible and then send him back to Uganda. Republican New York Councilwoman Vicky Pardolin wrote on June 2nd, and I apologize, that it would be insane for voters to elect somebody who hadn't been a citizen for more than 10 years, much less a radical leftist who actually hates everything about the country and is here specifically to undermine everything we ever been about. Deport, she says. A spokesperson for the councilwoman subsequently added that she stands by the statement and accused the state assembly man of being eligible for removal from the country due to his in multiple anti-Semitic far-left organizations in college, according to Newsweek. I don't know about that, but I mean, you have people on camera that done that. You don't have him. That's the problem. Of course, McDummy is also rejected allegations that anti-Semitic against him and has denounced raising acts of anti-Semitic abuse. He did strike back at Palladino, writing that, like 84% of New Yorkers, I wasn't born in the country. I moved here at 7. It's my home, and I've been proud to be a citizen, which means standing up to our Constitution, he added. Congress member Paulino may consider reading it. I don't think she just read it. I think she just read you the riot act as well, dude. No, I mean, there's some YouTubers that also sponsor this clown, and I'm not very happy with them, but they're streamers. So, I don't follow the ones that help this clown at all. The bottom line is, I don't like this guy. I'm already cutting ties with New York City as we speak. I'm trying to finish my loose ends by the end of this month, and I'll be out of New York City completely. So, we've seen tweets on X that real estate agents are getting, the phones are practically ringing off the hook. Those who do not know, that's a phrase that was used for the old rotary type phones or digital phones long before there were cell phones, and they had these huge things you talk to with a receiver on one side and something to hear on the other side. Those things is jokingly they ring off the hook. Yeah, they're calling saying they want to sell, they don't want to be in here, or they want to back out deals because they don't want him. New York City is already getting screwed with the congestion pricing. It's $9. For the cars coming in out of New York City from Lower Manhattan all the way up to 59th Street, 60th Street. I'm sorry, but I hadn't seen really any improvements in the New York City subway system, which is what the $9 are for, since this thing was implemented. We're still having crime problems. It just had a video where a guy was talking to someone. He was on a phone, and I think he had earphones on. I don't know what transpired, but the next thing you know, that guy on the other side just smacked him. Not only hit him hard in the face, but because he was near the doors, he smacked into the doors, and then next thing you know, he went down. Still don't know what transpired that led to that situation. I used to operate trains for New York City Transit. I think my former employer is a scumbag. And this would be a perfect fit. New York City Transit, a mayor, Zohar McDummy, scum. The governor of the state of New York, Kathy Hochul, scum. The city controller, whatever his name is, he got arrested. He's probably responsible for what happened here, because his arrest boosted Zohar McDummy, scum, all scum. The city's run by scum. So the only alternative I see is some people are going to vote for Adams and some people are going to vote for Curtis Sliwa. Then you have Andrew Cuomo pulled out. He's not running for the general election now. And I'm hoping we have enough people to vote for Eric Adams or Curtis Sliwa, enough to overcome what happened in the primary. Plus, I understand a lot of people didn't come out because of the heat. But I'm sure in the wintertime, there'll be, fall and winter, they will be coming out to vote. I'm sorry this video was a little long, but the thing is, I do not like this guy. I do not care for this guy. He's a Disney failure, and he's going to want to run it and become mayor and be a bigger failure that way. It's Outkane saying so long for now. Don't forget to stop.